Hello,
Welcome.
hello.
Welcome to another episode of Healthy You Corner on Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. I'm Elena. I'm your producer here, and this is
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on tonight. My name is Miranda. I am also a host here on Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour, and we are so grateful and thankful that you all are with us on this Monday evening for a Healthy You Corner. We're discussing tonight having a healthy mindset. So we're just so grateful for our audience. Continue to like, share, and follow our page. Like us on YouTube and on Instagram. And so let's get ready for a great conversation on tonight.
right. And tonight, our guest is Alicia Brownell. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about her. She is a mindset-centered mompreneur. She is a founder and leader and lead strategist at Worthy, a brand and content firm geared towards change driven entrepreneurs and community. After helping to promote major music and film products, including campaigns for Sony and New Line Cinema early in her career, she began seeking give back initiatives to support. Today, she uses her range of experience to encourage people to aim past fear and limitations. Alicia strives to help her clients make meaningful connections while offering hopeful creative strategy to organizations and individuals who are making a difference. Alicia spent her days consulting with clients, reading in her backyard while her two boys run in circle and writing or speaking about infant loss, autism, and getting out of her own way. So, everybody, please let us welcome Miss Alicia. Hi,
Hi,
Miss.
Ali.
Hello, everybody.
How are
So
you
glad to
today?
be here with you all this evening. Thank you, Elena and Miranda, for the opportunity. I'm truly honored.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, I know we're on here to talk about healthy mindset. What started you on a journey of knowing that the mindset is one of the main things when dealing with businesses or with
Sure. Well,
individuals?
well, first, I just wanted to say to everybody, as a little bit of halfway a disclaimer and halfway a little bit of encouragement. So, I am not a self proclaimed expert. I don't have fancy letters after my name. I do very much value those things. I have doctors in my family. I see how hard it is to get those type of advanced degrees. But at the same time, I do know that there are people out there who have, titles and letters and have done extensive coursework, but haven't taken the time to do that inner work. And so I think that's where I am wanting to shine a light on the importance of making sure that you spend time with yourself, spend time with God, do work on yourself, and not just work like we like to do for busyness sakes or for business's sake. And so I want to make that clear, but then also to let somebody know, it would be nice to be able to have an advanced degree one day, but I have to at the same time know that the calling on my life is bigger than even my own plans. So if I don't get it, if I never get it, what does my impact look like? Maybe for me, where I am, God has me in a place where He wants to elevate me in a non traditional way to encourage somebody who doesn't have those opportunities. So we have to be wise enough and mindful enough and tuned in and plugged into Him to know, be able to ask ourselves, what does your impact look like if you don't have a master's in me? So make sure that you are in seeking all wisdom, seeking the wisdom of God above all things. So, just again, a little disclaimer, but to answer your question, I think for me, it started as a personal journey. It started as just having gone through a lot, having constantly seemed to be facing challenge after challenge after challenge and wanting to not give up and having been knocked down and wanting to make sure that just as we exercise our physical bodies and have personal trainers and nutritionists and all of the great things that you guys offer here with this group as far as information. Just wanting to make sure that in the same way, I am personally building myself up so that the next time a challenge comes, because we know in life that will happen, I'm not broken down by it. And at the same point, being able to recognize that me getting back up is not always about me. Me getting back up is an example to someone else. More often than not, it's not about me at all. And so I have to honor that and take that seriously and be able to set an example for number one, the two little boys that are running around in circles in the backyard,
That's right.
for my sons, for my family, and also for those around me. Anytime you want to be in a position in business where you have some influence, you want to be able to influence in the right way.
All right. That's good. That's good. So, what advice would you give someone if they are in like just a test to try to keep their mindset strong to order to know how to even get to that place of I'm in it for my calling?
Yeah, definitely. I can just share some things that I have personally done. Some things where God was able to minister to me directly, because I know that so much seems out of our control sometimes, that it seems like you want to do better and you want to XYZ, whatever XYZ is. You want to do
Mhm.
some particular thing to be able to strengthen yourself. But if you can't control that, then you might get discouraged from doing anything at all. So I think it's important to stop and look at what you can control, whether it's a small thing or a temporary thing, something like having your environment around you clean and tidy so that your brain can focus on solutions and not, the physical problem of laundry that is, as a mom, always present, So things like that, things that you can feel like a small win. I did this thing today. I have folded clothes in drawers. They're clean. It's not a pile, a dirty pile that's turning into a clean pile, and it's just, perpetual piles. If I can do some laundry and look around and stop and, when I'm reading my Bible, I can actually focus on what I'm reading instead of the perpetual pile, being able to do simple things like that so that you can start to chalk up those small wins. And someone recently encouraged me, reminded me that, you need to stop and celebrate those things because when you celebrate those small wins, it's a little bit of that dopamine, that happy adrenaline that you can get and encourage yourself to keep going and get more. So I think that's one thing is celebrating and seeking those small wins, and then just personal time. Time by yourself. You may not have a prayer closet that you can dedicate to just that. You may not have a room where you can get away. You may have small kids and seem like every waking hour is somebody else's. It's like that sometimes when you have small children, especially if you have more than one. But I think going for a walk. That's really something that has saved my mindset. Getting
Yeah.
out of the house, getting into the fresh air, putting on these same headphones, putting on an encouraging podcast, just getting to myself. And it's funny, the other day I did this and it was kind of a windy day. And I caught myself looking up when I was almost home and noticing the clouds. And the clouds that were up really high seemed like they were still because they were so far away. They seemed
Mhm.
almost static. But there were a few clouds that were closer to me that had caught the wind. And so, in that moment, as I'm almost home looking up at the clouds in my outside time, God just spoke to me and shared a word that that is what He's doing in this season. That if we can find that place where we can catch the wind, it may not be as high up as other people, but He didn't call us to compare ourselves to people. It may be right where He wants us to be to catch the wind of God, to be able to in short time be across the city, be across the region, be wherever He wants you to be. if you can get in the right space. So I think that's really what mindset is. I say that mindset is the map you use to get out of your own way, because a lot of the
Right.
time that's what we're doing, is standing in the way of our own level up, standing in the way of our own blessing, standing in the way of our own peace. And so working on your mindset is really just like my kids like to use treasure maps. It's the map to help you find that treasure of whatever it is God is trying to do in your life.
Right.
And I do believe you. I feel like God is speaking to us in different ways, because it's funny that you mentioned the clouds, because there's this tree that's right in front of our balcony.
Hmm.
And at the beginning of the quarantine, it was bare. Like all other trees had bloomed leaves, but ours was bare. And slowly during the quarantine up to now, it bloomed, and now it
Mm,
has so many flowers on it and everything. And then when you look at the other trees, there's less flowers. So it took
mm,
longer to bloom and grow, but it's the most beautiful tree really around us. So
wow.
that was pretty much God speaking to me. It's okay. It might take longer for you to get there,
Mhm.
but when you get there, it's gonna be beautiful. So it's like God is speaking to us in like little different
Hmm.
ways, and it
And
does
I
help
think,
it help your mind.
yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of doing this inner work. Having that stronger mindset, having it clear. You may have gotten that same message in a different way or the same way before, but if your mind is not right, you'll completely miss it. You won't see the
Right.
tree, you won't see the clouds, you won't be outside, you won't hear the birds. It's making sure that you are clear enough to receive all of those, whether it's a sign, if it's encouragement, if it's something from another person. God uses people to encourage us and build us up all the time. Someone could have a word for us, but we can be in a place where we just don't have time for people because we haven't worked on our mindset, and miss our word from God because we haven't
Right.
done that work of getting our minds together. So I think that's why it's so important to continually, just like you exercise, keep working on it.
Okay. What advice would you give to somebody who just never had the opportunity to sit and try to get that connection with God to get their mindset correct? Like, because it's hard to like start a habit when you never
Hmm.
had it.
Yeah.
So, do you have any advice for somebody who might just be coming into it and is kind of struggling with sitting down and listening?
Um, so I would definitely say make the time, because what you don't want to have happen is for some trauma to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an example. Like I said, I've been through a lot. So some of the things that I speak on and share about are infant loss, because I have experienced that. And I think especially people of color, we don't talk enough about things like that because, it's taboo associated with it. And things like that you press down can often lead to having mindset issues. I talk about autism because the babies that I fought to get here, found out that my youngest one, when he was about 2, was on the autism spectrum. And so that's something that we continue to uh, deal with. And honestly, it's just for us and our family a way that God continues to show himself through all of the progress our son makes daily. And so I say, like I said, there's always going to be things that come up, but what you don't want to have happen is something unnecessary, because you were not making the time to prioritize your mindset. So some time ago, I was in a space that was really dark and just kind of like a mild depression, I think I would say, because we had been experiencing some financial difficulty after job loss. And I wasn't thinking about my mindset. I actually was just going through the motions. You know how we get where it's kind of like zombie mode.
Mm-hmm.
And one morning before church, was driving and not really apparently thinking about where I was, and ran a red light and plowed into another car and had my babies and my sister in the vehicle with me. And only by the grace of God did we all walk away. But that to me was a wake up call. Okay, you're not okay. You need to get yourself together. So for anyone who is saying, I don't have the time, I would definitely just admonish you to please prioritize yourself like you would if it was a physical emergency. If you have a pain in your body, you don't ignore that pain. You think about what is it telling you to do. If you had a headache right now, you would say, do I need to eat? Do I need some water? Do I need some rest? Pain is to bring your attention to what needs work. And I think that oftentimes we have those moments in our lives as far as mindset is concerned, and we don't want to ignore any signs because that could lead to something worse.
Right. That's really good.
I think our mental wellness is so important that you spoke on that about how we get into a zombie mode. Self care and mental health is a passion of mine as a counselor. You just don't realize what people are going through. And like you said, if you don't make the time to
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself, take care of your mind, taking care of your thoughts, like with journaling, that's something that I do. But it's so important because, you mentioned a situation that you were going through. And even during this pandemic, I had a panic attack, something I've never experienced before in my life. But like you said, if you're not addressing it, you're going through the motions like, oh, I'm good, all is
Mm-hmm.
well. But you're not realizing that inside things are building up and things are about like a crock pot or like one of those pressure cookers. Everything is boiling over, and you're like, "Oh, I'm good, I'm fine." But it's really important. I agree that we have to take care of our mental faculties, our mental health, because that's just as important as, like you said, outside pain. That is our internal pain. So we have to make sure we're aware of what's going on around us.
Yeah,
And what do
definitely.
you, Alicia, what do you recommend for people, who maybe, like you said, are there some tools that you provide clients or you suggest to people, when you're going through those types of things to help them to deal with any type of mental instability they may be going through?
Well, sure. I think you mentioned one that is, very accessible as far as habit building and time and resources that you need to get it done, and that's journaling. And so I think that oftentimes it's easy to go through those motions and get in that mode of not dealing with things when you don't take time to think about how you are feeling. And so I think that's one of the benefits of journaling is even if you just start out with, Lord, I don't even know what to say right now. Like I have gone back and look at past journal entries where it's like that. And then the great thing is, if you keep flipping through those pages, you will see to where those prayers have evolved to where you can name where you are, what you need, what you would like to have happen. And if you keep flipping, you'll see that those prayers start to become answered, but you have to start somewhere. And so I think that journaling is definitely, like I said, an accessible tool to be able to help anyone name what it is they're experiencing. And then I think also there are lots of things out there for putting good in. So I think oftentimes people feel like making a leap to a therapist is a big leap. And I know that, especially in our community, we have um, times where people don't trust medical professionals and, lots of barriers to access, even when it comes to anything as far as insurance. But I think what you can do wherever you are is start to monitor what you're putting in and seek out things that are edifying. So as opposed to just watching any show because we all want, some Netflix time to wind down, but think about what it is that you're putting in. How often are you reaching for the remote when you could be reaching for that book, that is going to give you some encouragement? Um, Podcasts, there's lots, and I can send you guys there's lots of great podcasts out there to help you work through feelings, emotions, even thought leaders about different aspects of, we're going through a lot as a society right now. So
Right.
it helps to hear those ideas, have people bounce them bounce them off of each other. If it's a host and a guest or multiple hosts, I think podcasts are underused resource. There's even one that I know that's called Therapy for Black Girls.
Oh, wow.
There are things out there if you seek them out. And I think the good thing about books and podcasts and journaling is it's a low barrier. You don't have to spend a lot. You don't have to sometimes even leave the house, but you can get started. And I think the more that you make those habits, build upon them, then you'll find that you're more open to taking those bigger steps like therapy, counseling sessions. And
Mhm.
so it kind of ease yourself if you have to into that mindset of you're worth the time to prioritize what you're feeling. Yeah, that's it. Therapy for Black girls.
I like that. I mean, because, a lot of times, especially as for Black people, that taboo of getting counseling or telling everybody our business,
Hmm.
even as a school counselor, as a counselor myself, I have parents. Why are you here? What do you do? My child's not crazy. And it's like, mom or dad, trying to ease their mind about it's not about being crazy, but it's about providing support.
Right,
It's about providing the tools that they need in order to help them to get through the traumatic experience that they may be going through, if whether it's a loss, a death, losing their home, a natural disaster, even during this time right now, being able to provide support and not saying that you're crazy or you have some, it may not, it maybe just be something like, I need to talk to someone
right.
besides my mom and dad, besides my sister, besides family members or whatever. So I think that's really important.
I agree.
That's good. So, as far as mindset, I know it's a lot, right? Because it's a lot to compact. It's like what type of mindset are you trying to have? Like, to get a healthy one? Or are you just trying to get your thoughts straight? Are you trying to start a business? Um, there's just different ways. So, how would you tell somebody to get their mindset where they can focus on different things, but in a
Mm.
balanced way, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think so I have a two-part answer. So the first part is knowing who you are outside of all of those titles and functions and roles, right? So we were talking about this the other day. When you look up and you are now wife, mom, business owner or employee or manager, whatever your title is, you're producing this podcast, Elena, you've
Right.
got all of home to take care of, you've got baby to take care of, husband, all of these things that everybody has multiple hats that we have to wear. But
Right.
when do you stop and ask yourself, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a good question to ask because oftentimes it will lead you to your creator. It's like a car and a manual. You don't know what all it can do if you don't read the manual. You don't know there may be a way easier way to achieve some task that you are doing the hard way because you haven't stopped to seek the manual.
Right.
So I think if you stop and ask yourself who you are, then you have to ask your creator, what does he say about you? And all of those titles and roles and functions, that's nowhere in there. He says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So stopping to think about what does that mean? What does that mean for me personally? That I think is a good place to start to wrap your mind around how to compartmentalize all of those different things is recognize first that you are more than just the roles.
Right.
And then another way is just to remember balance. So you will never be able to be super mom and super businesswoman at the same time on the same day, right? You're going to have to balance um, some things at different times. You'll have different seasons. You'll have to have support in different roles. You may need support at home when it's time to push forward with business. You may need support in your business when it's time to really focus on, growing your family, or if your child is going through some transition in school or something like that, you may have to just balance. So right now we need to lean more this direction, and I need help picking up the slack in this direction, So just recognizing that it's not all on you to have perfect all the time.
Right.
So being vulnerable enough to admit that I need some help in this area, or that it's okay that I have laundry piles today because I got some work done for the business.
Right.
So just balance is really a key um, word to keep at the forefront of your mind.
Right. And I think a lot of people kind of strive for that perfection. I need to be the perfect mom. I need to be the perfect employee or
Right.
the perfect business owner. I need to be the
Hmm.
perfect. And I think it'll ease your mindset. And this just is me talking. If you just stop trying to be perfect and just do what you can and pretty much let God do the rest.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
Connect with the one who's perfect, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not perfect, but you're connecting to the one that's perfect. And I know Don mentioned earlier about having that super one, Black women having that superwoman syndrome. We have to do it all. We have to take care of everybody. We have to be there for everyone. But then who's there for us? Who is there to help us to get through when we're going through? So that's why it's so important for self care and to take care of ourselves. And to
Right.
have a village around of other women that we reach out to, like how you said, Alicia, you and Elena talk to each other about different things. It's so good to have a village, other women that we can trust, that we can connect with, even if it's just one or two.
Yeah.
It's always good to have someone, and if those one or two are not available, you always have, and we don't want to put him second, but we always have God. We always have number one, which is God, and He wants to be number one in our lives. And that's one of the reasons why we created Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour, is for a safe place for women to come to receive information, to be encouraged, uplifted, and to be able to be themselves, and for us to have fun as well, but also to lean on one another for in those times that we're struggling. So that's really good.
Right.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yeah. And I think I was telling Alicia before when we was having that phone conversation, I was always that person that looked at my mom saying oh, I can't be that mother. I can't be that great person. My mama have all these, accolades. And I looked at my sister and she was a businesswoman, a great mom. I look at Alicia, like I have a lot of powerful women around me, like
Right.
businesswomen and great women. I'm like, I can't be that person. And it wasn't until I stopped and like, I don't have to be,
Hmm.
where I started to see myself excel in who I was supposed to be. So,
Right.
in
That's good.
regards to having a healthy mindset,
Good.
you have to not focus on everybody else around you and focus on you. And I think that's one of the things taken out of being a strong Black woman. You just got to be strong Black you in that
Mm.
moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And stop comparing yourselves. Comparison gets us nowhere. When we're comparing ourselves to the next one. I want to pray like her. I want to be like her. I want to be like this other person. God can't bless a carbon copy. He can only bless
Mm.
the original, which is you. And so it's so important for us to understand that we need to be our best selves. And like you said, Elena, when you become your best self, God will start moving in your direction. So,
Right.
Yeah, and I had this conversation the other day with someone who was coming to grips with the fact that they had been dealing with a mild form of depression because people around them, their age, were doing other things that they might have liked to be doing. And when you stop and look at, how old you are, and you thought you would have accomplished more by now, or you thought you would
Mm-hmm.
have done more by now, and all this time is gone. And I said, one, obviously you can't, like you said, Miranda, compare yourself, but also, like we were talking about with the clouds, if you would just get your mindset right and allow God to point you in the right direction, you don't have to worry about speed. Speed is not your concern, because you could catch the wind of God, like we were talking about. He could catapult you. You could skip seven steps. You could be so far ahead of someone, just because you allow God to put you in the right position, in the
Right.
right direction. And so that's one of the benefits of working on your mindset too. If you can get that clarity, because you get all of the gunk out of the way, then you can make sure you're like a compass pointed in the right direction. And I think after God sees that you have done that work, He will definitely honor that by giving you, whatever kind of grace you need in the speed department, because
Right.
that's on Him anyway. He can change it all in a day. So it's not for us to worry about how far I haven't come or all the things I haven't yet accomplished. All you need to do is make sure you are in the will of God, pointing in the direction of your purpose, and get your mind right and watch Him work, you know?
Yeah.
And that's so
And
awesome. Go
yeah.
ahead.
And I was just gonna say my pastor says that all the time. It's like I lost my train of thought. Like
When she was
that.
talking about taking the, she was like,
No,
talking about
what she
taking
was
the win.
saying,
Yeah.
you have to sometimes God place you in positions and you feel like you're not ready yet, and you will stop yourself from taking off because you took yourself out of what God had put for you
Yeah.
because you feel inadequate or you don't feel like that's for you. But at the end of the day, God is
Hmm.
pushing you. And sometimes we do
Right.
miss opportunities, but I know that. And then when we miss those opportunities, we feel like we're never going to have them again, like we missed our
Hmm.
blessings. But it's not true. From me, I've learned that God is going to give you another opportunity. He's going to keep
Hmm.
giving you opportunities. And,
Right.
I
I
yeah.
think that's good. Yeah. I know, I've, again, I felt that way as well, being older. I started my career late because I was a stay-at-home mom a lot of it when my children were younger. So it's like, okay, I'm going to spend this time focusing on family. So it's like now when I'm starting my career, it's like, okay, I'm behind the eight ball.
Hmm.
But I always believe that, you know what, I'm on time.
Yeah.
This is my season. This is my appointed time to do what God has appointed me to do, because I had my season, of raising my children, of being a stay-at-home mom. That was that season. Now we're in a new season. God always elevates us and takes us to another season, another level, another part of our gifting, and you said our purpose. So I think a lot of times we have to, if we understand it kind of like that, it's always a set time for everything. And we understand that He's sovereign and that He's working behind the scenes and He knows what's best for us. So we just have to know that, I can be 50. It's still my time. It's still the time that God has for me. And I'm going to make the most of it and not worry about the younger generation or whatever. This is my lane and I'm going to flourish in it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really good. That reconciling the importance of time, because we can use that as a crutch sometimes to say,
Right.
okay, well, my time is gone, it's past. This is not, something that people my age are doing. Or you can say, in the opposite way, I'm too young or inexperienced to do this. Or, always remembering that we operate in time and space, but God does not. He is above that. So if we again get ourselves in tune with Him, He is in charge in such a way that it's almost like Back to the Future. You have the time machine. You don't have to worry about time. You'll see other people struggling with that, but with Him, you have, um, like Marty McFly. You don't know where you'll end up because God is in control, and as long as we are in the right destination, if we type in the right destination, he'll worry about getting us there when we need to be there.
Yeah. And for those of you just joining us, we're talking to Miss Alicia Brownell about healthy mindset and how to get there and stay there. So far, it's you gotta, you know, take time to read and listen, and just take time to um, adjust
Prioritize.
your thoughts. Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, just even if you're wearing different hats, you still have to just uh, I am losing my train of thought. And you popped up the thing as soon as I said. Y'all know I can't stay serious too long. I'm
Look,
trying to stay
look,
serious.
I'm getting her off track now. So let me put the question down. I apologize. Let me put that down. I need her mindset to be, focused. So go ahead.
Y'all both know I
But
can't stay
you know what?
serious long.
That's good too, because I think sometimes we can take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah,
We get in that
exactly.
mode where we're like, okay, it's time for me to level up. It's time for me to be a serious businesswoman. It's time for me to,
Yeah,
you know, act on this vision that God has given me, and we forget the everyday levity, the everyday, having fun with your kids in between the phone calls.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
life too. That's not in the way of life. That is life. So
right.
we have to find a way to laugh at ourselves. And I know us moms, um, the best way, at least for me, is those little kids like keep me
I know.
on my
Laughter.
toes and laughing. And I know my sister is trying not to crack up. She's over here on the side of me, so she's like, "Yep." But it's okay to smile. God says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. So we have to
Right.
remember that we can't be taking ourselves so seriously, trying to grow and get to the next level, that we're walking around with a sour face, because
Right.
that's not going to bless anybody. That's not going to help anybody want to have what we have. And if that's really, if we're being honest, that might be one of those pain points that's trying to tell us we still have some mindset work that we need to do.
Yeah.
There's some pain that's there that you need to ask God to reveal to you. Like, Lord, what are you trying to, what's still in me that's hindering me from getting to the next level? What hurt, what heartache, what pain do I need to still deal with?
Hmm.
And laughter is so important because who wants to? Why not have fun while we're going along the journey, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Why not laugh and have fun while we're getting to where God has for us? And I was just visiting with my children for a couple of weeks, and watching them dance and laugh and play video games, and I'm laughing, and they're like, "Mom, dance or whatever," or they're saying, "Mom, don't dance." Just just having fun and laughing and enjoying life, and I think that's also healing and therapy for us as well, when we're going through various things. Watching a funny movie, like you're saying, watching these funny videos on, YouTube. My sister just she just introduced me to somebody on YouTube, and it was so funny. And I had to text my son, like, who was that? It's like James and Sugar. And he's like this, her sugar daddy, but it's a one person playing three characters. It's
Oh
so funny.
wow.
It made me laugh. So it's like, like you said, those things, finding laughter is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I laugh all the time. I know I'm gonna be that goofy. I'm just goofy. So even when I'm doing my photo shoots, I'm like laughing and joking with my clients because I can't help it.
Right.
That's
it
bringing joy to people. And like Miranda said, you never know what somebody's going through. That may be exactly what somebody needs. So we have to allow ourselves to be free enough to be okay with being a goofy personality, or being whatever it is that God has called us to be, because we all need to be different things at different times for different reasons to help
Yeah.
different people in different ways. So
Right.
be yourself, that's what it's all about. Like you said in the
Right.
beginning, God has to have you be the original for you to be blessed, not that carbon
Yeah.
copy.
Right.
Yeah.
And like Sheree said, she bought a scooter. How fun is that? Buying a scooter to play with your children or
I
getting
cannot
down,
wait.
I know, or playing
I
those
can't
video
wait to buy
games.
Marley her first skates, pair of skates.
Right. Right. Just having fun with your family and playing video games, learning how to play the video games and beating your kids or watching them beat you, whatever it is that
Right.
brings you joy and laughter, where you can interact with your family and just your friends, just calling or sharing something funny with them. It's always good.
Yeah. And going back to like healthy mindset, it is good to laugh and enjoy. And you don't
Mhm.
want to create this world where you have everything you want and need, well, everything that you want, and no laughter, no joy in it. Like, what's
Yeah.
the
Right.
point of having everything? You got your focus, you got this mindset on business and power, and you got all that, and then you just forgot how to smile and laugh in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So I know for me, like I had to find my joy. That was part of my mindset. And now that nobody can take it from me, so I'm excited.
Yeah. But I think, that is a good thing to at least be aware of, because I know
Yeah.
for me, when I experienced my infant loss, I dove back into work and wanted to move so fast that I didn't have to stop and think about it. And
Yeah.
when I realized years later that I hadn't dealt with the emotions, it was that indicator that I hadn't been
Right.
experiencing joy, that I hadn't been going to birthday parties and celebrating with friends and family and milestones, and that I had kind of let a few years of life go by with my head down. So being aware of those things about yourself
Yeah.
will help you to, just like we were talking about those pain points, help you to know when you need to stop and prioritize that inner work of strengthening your mindset, maybe talking to somebody, putting in those good things, starting to journal again. Just prioritize it as you would your physical health,
Yeah.
because it can almost be more important. There are very healthy people physically who may be a harm to themselves or others because they
Right.
haven't stopped and built up a strong mindset. And, I think it's important to realize that it's not a shortcoming when you have to do that work, when you have to seek someone out, when you have to go to a counselor, like you were saying, Miranda, there's that stigma. It's just like you wouldn't blame somebody for having a broken foot and say, oh, you're a failure for going to the doctor because you need a cast. You have an ailment, you have experienced a trauma, you need a professional. And so I think it's the same kind of thing that we have to get our minds trained to. There are different times in our lives when we need different attention for our mindset.
Right. That's
And
true.
that's so true. Like you said, we wouldn't, ignore a broken leg or a broken bone. So let's not ignore our broken heart, or if our mind is, not the way it normally is, or we recognize someone, don't be ashamed to say something. Check on that person and say, hey, are you doing okay? I noticed this, or I noticed that. Do you need to talk about it? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not feeling like, feeling like you're trying to embarrass someone or anything like that. We can always go to people in love to make sure that they're okay, to check in on each other. I think, a lot of times people look at, oh, she's strong, oh, he's strong, they don't need anything. But sometimes those are the main people who need to be checked in on sometimes because they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that especially in communities of color, that strong label oftentimes just means someone who has had to build up a guard because of different things that they have gone through and
Right,
experienced time and time again. So, what you're perceiving as strength may actually be layers that don't still need to be there if they're not still in a space of trauma.
right,
And so, it's important to be able to speak to someone about those things when you notice them,
right.
because you could help someone start a healing journey that they may be ready for if you were just be honest. And I think it's important for us to, on the flip side of that, be open to that honesty when we receive it from people that we love.
Right. And that
Right.
reminds me of what's going on with what's the singer name?
Tamar Braxton.
Tamar
Mm-hmm.
Braxton. Like she
Mhm.
perceives herself as this loud, confident person, but
Mhm.
then she tried to take her own life
Yeah.
Right.
because, it's a facade because there's probably some things that she is not trying to deal with, but she just want to show the world, oh, this is me and I have to be in the light
Mhm.
because when she's not in the light,
She's in
darkness.
the dark. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's very common, I think, for especially us women to have that, to take pride in this invisible cape of strength. Nothing can
Right.
penetrate us, nothing can bring us down. But at the same time, if there's no vulnerability, you're not letting good things in either. Like if there's a wall around your heart, then you're also
Yeah.
not receiving things that you need to be receiving. So you have to be able to recognize that so that you can do that work before, the worst happens.
Right. No
Right.
question.
And I know Sheree was saying having a therapist keeps me from venting the same old to my friends. Plus, I actually moved beyond venting to breaking the cycle. That's good.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
And then we
Having
had
therapy is necessary.
right.
Yeah.
I
And
never
I and I
spoke about
want
that.
to I'm happy for the evolution that we're seeing now where more people are um, embracing therapy as,
Right.
I don't want to say normal, but as something that you shouldn't have a stigma attached to. I've seen even T-shirts that say, um, "I love Jesus and therapy." Like
I
uh,
used
it's,
to see
it's
that.
a
Yeah.
That's
movement,
good.
I think, now where people are more open to the fact that you can find a therapist who's not going to try to tell you that once you get to a point in your evolution of your mindset that okay, now you have to realize that you got to leave God to the side. There are
Mhm.
therapists that will help you balance both. And, if that's what you feel like you want to do, I would say definitely seek them out. And
Yeah.
more importantly, seek a tribe of people who feel similarly. So I think that's why it's so important what you guys are doing here with
Mhm.
Bougie Girls, because if I talk to Elena and we're saying the same thing, then that will help me feel more like it's okay to be experiencing what I'm experiencing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay to seek out this different help, whether it's journaling or therapy or a counselor or a podcast. If I don't feel like I'm in it by myself because I've
Right.
been vulnerable enough to bounce things off of my sister, then we're all going to grow. And that's
Right.
really what we should be wanting to do.
Right. We have another
Right.
question here. Do you feel as though society and the cover up is used like in the use of social media has caused more emotionally unhealthy people?
Um, so I think because social media is a place I have to kind of stay on and in for business. I do branding and content, so I have to help um, clients with their social presence often. Um, so it's something that I study and always find myself on, whether it's for personal or for work. I think that the danger in social media lies within the comparison that Miranda was talking about earlier. If you are only looking at these perfect pictures and perfect posts of perfect people who have not experienced any laundry piles, this year, then you can
Yeah.
sometimes find yourself feeling like you are doing something wrong. And so I think that there is some danger in not balancing excuse me, and not balancing the perfect pictures and posts with a little vulnerability and reality. And so that's something that, you can try to do yourself and seek out people that do that. Because if you want to have a perfect Instagram profile, make sure in your stories you're sharing your kids running around in the back because people need to see that that's what it really takes to
Yeah.
get everything to look so picture perfect. You want people to know that it's not a photo shoot every day because that's not reality. And I think we owe that to the younger people around us who seek social media first for what they should be doing because we always knew what it was to exist without that. Our
Yeah.
children won't know that. They won't
Right.
know a world with no YouTube and a world with no Facebook. So, if especially if you are someone who wants to build up any influence, I would say that that's important to make sure that you're prioritizing, along with the perfect and the pretty, some reality.
Right. A life with no filters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
so
we don't have
so
to share everything, but
right.
share those things that will be helpful and beneficial to others.
And I know people
definitely.
say you don't have to share anything, but why not share? Oh my goodness, I had a terrible day.
Yeah.
I needed help today. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Because that will bring reality. Like we all need help sometimes. Sometimes you wake up and you just
Right.
know it's just going to be one of those days. I mean, you can get yourself back out of it if you think more positively, but sometimes you just have an off day.
Yeah,
Right.
And I feel like social media society makes you feel like you're less of a person if you had an off day. You know what I mean? Or you
Right.
had, especially you can't grow. And that's what I
hmm
think a lot of social media does. You can't grow as a person because they bring out old stuff back.
mm,
You know what I mean? And tearing down people from things that they say long ago or things that they did long ago. Um, and, that if you're having a hard time building a strong mindset, sometimes it's good to just shut off social media
Right.
or don't post. When I say you can post your feelings, just be careful how you post it and your words because it can come back.
Yeah.
And cancel culture,
yeah,
is,
Right.
but it's just, how you post it or how you ask the question and stuff like that.
right. I think that is important because I have it's important to know yourself, So I have a cousin who was on social media, but when she was pursuing her doctorate, decided that, the comparisons of other people who had, vacations and things that she wanted to be aspiring to, but was in a space where she had to focus on her studies and wanted to preserve her mental health at the same time,
Hmm.
she just
Hmm.
turned off all that stuff. And she's got the doctorate now and she's never turned it back on. If I want her to see pictures of the kids, I have to make sure I send them to her because she's not on anywhere to see them herself, But I think if you know yourself and that's something you have to do, don't make somebody let you feel bad because
Hmm.
If you're not on some social media profile, it's really not that important at the end of the day. But
Hmm.
also, thankfully, there are people who are using platforms to share vulnerability and to share, things that are uplifting and to share um, podcasts and journaling and groups like this to be able to help us all connect. And so I think it's important not to write something off completely, like to say, oh, social media is bad, because
Right.
we would all be experiencing this COVID thing very differently if it didn't
It
exist
wasn't.
right now,
Exactly.
So you have to know yourself and have that discernment so that you can choose what's right for you and your mindset. And that can be different from day to day. If you're
Right.
going through something, you might need to take a break.
Yeah.
If you need to do some mental push-ups for a few days, and I know that people often post when they take breaks, and so that's something that you can do. But if you are going to be on social media, I think also seek out spaces like this. And so that's why I want to thank you, ladies, for creating this. And I'm rooting for you guys to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And I would just encourage everybody who is listening to make sure that you share spaces like this when you come across them, because we really do need this connection to be able to move forward together.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much. And, we've both gone through various life experiences. We both talked about having depression. You mentioned it as well.
Hmm.
So many of us go through these battles in life. And it's so good to be able to connect with someone and say, I've gone through that too. How did you deal with it? How did you deal with it? And we're able to share our different experiences because everyone's experience is going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us have had to take medication, some of us haven't. Some of us, like you said, prayer and therapy, right?
Hmm.
God and therapy. So and some of us just go to God, the old fashioned way, just take it to God in prayer. And some people haven't had to go to therapy, but we've all had different life experiences, and I think it's very important that we're able to share our different perspectives, and not point the finger at someone who says, and saying that yours is wrong or is right,
Right.
but just to be able to support each other and uplift each other as women, as Black women, as women of
Yeah.
color, and just say, you know what, your way is different, but that's fine. We celebrate you and we're going to move forward. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to say about social media, just going back, is if you feel like you comparing yourself to everybody on social media, just watch who you follow.
Mm.
Like, make sure, like,
yeah.
if you're going to be on social media and you want it to be a positive experience, start following people that's positive. And like you said, we started this platform so we can have that positivity online, because they have so many negative things that's going on right
Right.
now. You could look on YouTube and there's a million gossip channels, a
Right.
million
Right.
people just not influencing, but influencing the wrong way,
Right.
and not being careful on how they influence, just how, that they're influencing so they can make money, right? So that's why you need to just focus on the people who's trying to put out content that want to heal you and grow you and just keep
Hmm.
you
Encourage.
encouraged. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same way you would deal in real life. You don't just go anywhere. You don't just put yourself in any situation or find yourself surrounded by unlike-minded people. So I think just a similar type of approach can only help you again to grow.
Yeah.
Right. I know Dawn was just saying she has a different perspective on social media. She said it's up to the viewer, to decipher or not to compare. So I think a lot of times, too, with that, it's about having a healthy mindset. It's up to the viewer.
Hmm.
But if they are in a dark place, sometimes it's kind of easy to be drawn into what you're seeing on social media. If someone is portraying something that's off kilter or whatever, I know I've heard a lot of times, especially with teenagers, doing suicide pacts and then posting how to kill yourself online and cutting and all these negative things. So I think it's really important to have a healthy mindset, especially, and then we're talking about children. When do you expose them to social media? When do you allow them on YouTube and various things like that? So it's really important, um, to to just be healthy and to have people around us that's going to help us in those areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I think, if we're talking about ourselves here, we're all adults. So I can see where Don is coming from as far as the
Hmm.
responsibility being on the viewer. I would just say I always think it's good to be able to use whatever platform. For me personally, not that every caption has to be a scripture, but to be able to just encourage and uplift,
Hmm.
wherever I am, because now that I
Right.
have done and am continuing to do that mindset work for myself, I just find that I really appreciate that when I am in need of it. So whenever I can, I seek to give that to others. So
Sure.
that can be as simple as, I take a cute selfie, but I may post, go get it today, girl. Like, no, don't let the day find you sleeping, or what, whatever caption
Mhm.
that's gonna, when Elena sees it, she's gonna be like, yep, I'm about to go get it today, and it's just a
Yeah.
caption of my selfie, but I'm taking the thought of what can I say that's gonna be, um,
Uplifting.
as opposed to just talking about
Hmm.
how cute I am, even though I am cute. Like, what can I say that is gonna
Yeah.
encourage somebody, right? So,
Right.
you can have a mix. It doesn't have to be, again, every caption, every post. But
Right.
if you have a platform, if you find yourself with one, what do you do with it? Have you
Yeah.
stopped to think about
Yeah.
what it is that you're speaking, who you're speaking to, and why? And I think that, just being in a branding space, those are questions I am constantly asking myself, constantly asking my clients to consider. Who is your audience? And so if you're talking about just life, your audience is the people that God has put you in circles of influence of. So what are you sharing? What are you giving them? And is it something that they're going to want to seek out in the future? Do they know they can come to you for encouragement when they need it? If that's not something that is particularly important to you, that's fine. But if it is, stop and think about how you can make that a mission every day.
Right.
That's good.
Yes, it
That's
is.
good.
So if you all have any questions for Alicia, she has been giving us great insight. She's been encouraging us on tonight, uplifting us on tonight, providing resources and love, and just being transparent and honest on tonight with the conversation we're having that's much needed about our mindsets and having a healthy mindset. So if you have any comments or questions that you would like to ask before we wrap it up, we would like for you to put them in the comments. Again, this is Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. We're so grateful to have Alicia with us on tonight. And I'm Miranda and Elena. We're both hosting on tonight for Healthy You Corner. So, Alicia, is there something that some final points or suggestions you would like to leave our audience with on tonight?
I would just say
Mhm.
you can do it. You know, sometimes it seems like such a challenge when you stop and think about where you want to be. You want to be better centered. You want to be, have more clarity. But don't let where you are discourage you from taking that first step in a direction towards where you want to go. Just because you look down the road and you can't even see the goal because it feels like it's so far away, it's going to stay that far away if you don't get moving. So don't let the distance stop you from picking up one foot. And I posted something along these lines the other day. Just take a step. Just have the courage and the faith for one step forward in the right direction. And you will be surprised when you start moving. You'll look up and realize, I didn't know I was this far down the road. And I have those moments still. And I thank God for them because, like, when I was talking to Elena the other day and she was telling me, how I had been a um, encouragement. And I'm like, really? So just being able to see that, oh, I guess I have maybe made a step or two, but you won't even be able to clap for your first and second step if you don't take them. So please, just be encouraged to get started, and you can do it with God's help. I tell my kids every day we do truths, which is just a watered down way to tell them it's affirmations. But I tell them every morning who they are. And so it was encouraging when they were really small, you know, 2 years old, when they started repeating them for the first time. And it's, they weren't saying them correctly, but they were starting to, I am a brave boy, I'm a blessed boy, I am a king. And
Yeah.
so if you remind yourself who you are and remind yourself every day and start to get moving, I think God will really, really kind of blow you away. So I would encourage everybody to get to stepping.
That's good. Now, Alicia, we ask every single one of our guests, bougie girl bougie stands for bold, one of a kind, unbothered, God's girl, intentional, and elegant. Which one of those you feel like most represent who you are? Well, who's your bougie? Which one is your bougie?
So in the past, I would have said unbothered. Definitely, like, you know, I'm doing what I want to do. I don't care about who says otherwise. But I would say at this point, the evolution of me right now, I would go with bold, because I have gotten to a point where I'd realized that I had done some shrinking. And so I am undoing that. I am getting back in front of um, myself. And so I will say bold. I think bold lipstick, bold colors, might get a nose ring. We'll see.
Yes,
Okay.
get that nose ring, girl. I was thinking
Right?
about getting me one too. I was like, I know I'm a little older, but it's a
We'll do
little
it
diamond
together,
would
Rhonda.
be
We'll
cute.
go together.
I always wanted one of those one of those right there. That's all I wanted.
You
But
should get
I don't
it.
know.
We're gonna all
That
go
would
at
be
the same time. We're gonna FaceTime each other and we're gonna do it.
sounds good.
And
Oh,
if y'all haven't noticed our shirts, me and Miranda is wearing one of the shirts that we do offer on our Teespring account. I have I am one of a kind bougie, and she have everything I just said. The
Love it.
definition of our bougie.
yes, it's
And
the
we also
definition.
have our original I'm bougie um, shirt, and we have each of them that say I'm bold bougie, I'm one of a kind bougie, I'm unbothered bougie. All of them, we have them on our
Where
Teespring,
can we find them?
on teespring.com
Teespring.
forward slash, I think it's bougie slash girl. Let me go ahead and post
It's
it up here.
teespring.com/stores. There it is right there on
Oh,
Or
the
it has bougie
screen.
dash girl. Yes.
great.
So go and
Yes.
order one. Join the movement. We have a private group. If you would like
Mhm.
to join the group has been revamped a little bit for us to be able to, if you're part of the group, if you have a conference coming up, you can share your flyer. If you have a book coming out, share your flyer. If you're about to be a part of a conference or a part of anything amazing, share it. If you need prayer, request it.
Mm.
If you want to just share something encouraging, um, share that. Share what you want us to talk about on the group. If you want to be a
Yes.
guest or you have a testimony you want to share on Her Story on Fridays or on Healthy You Corner, come on and share your expertise and encourage our audience. Again, this is a safe place for us to come as women to be ourselves, to be silly, to be bold, to be one of a kind, to be bougie, to be all who God has called us to be, and not bougie in an arrogant way, but in a way that God is pleased and He created us to be. He created us to be bold, right? One of a kind. We're one of a kind. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. We're unbothered by what people think about us because it doesn't matter. It's what God thinks about us, right? Our value comes from Him.
Yes.
We're God's girls. We proclaim to be women of God. We love Him. We're intentional. We're intentional about our business. We're intentional about life. And we're elegant. We're a little, sometimes we can be a little ratchet on the side, a little Sam ghetto. But then we're elegant. Overall, we walk into a room with
Code
class.
switch.
There you
Right.
go.
We know how to code switch. We know how to change it up. We know how to be silly with our friends, but we know how to go to work and put on whatever we need to do.
Yeah.
So, and that's who we are. And we want you to join the movement. We want you to join the group, and we want to just uplift you and support you and help promote what you have going on. So,
I
Yeah.
love that. Count me in.
All
yeah,
right.
thank you,
And
thank
the new
you.
group is I'm bougie. Just
I'm
type it. I'm
bougie.
bougie. That's the group, and of course we have our original Bougie Girls Up a Happy Hour group. And in that group, please post what y'all want to see from us. Like if y'all have an idea or a segment, or even someone that y'all want to see on here, we'll reach out to that person. All they can say is no.
Yeah.
or yes. But you
Yeah.
know what? Just let us know what y'all want to see from us, and we're open to everything because this is our platform as much as it is yours. And we
Yeah.
want y'all to come and feel safe and learn, grow, and you know, let's do this thing. Let's fix our crowns together.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's help each other. Let's love on each other. We love one another. Women of all generations. Alina and I are from two different generations. So we are learning to work together, love each other, support each other, deal with each other's proclivities and attitudes and differences.
I
And,
have
and that's
attitude. I'm just
whatever. But that's what it's all about. And we can laugh about it and not have an attitude, with each other and say, oh my gosh, she's this. We're all different, right? And so that's and that we can love the difference about each other. And that's, it's such a blessing. And I'm thankful again, Alicia, for your time tonight. Come
yes.
back
Thank you.
again.
Please come back.
Um,
Anytime.
share some branding stuff with us. Share some
Yes.
branding
Oh yeah.
information with us, with our audience. They might be trying to start a business or brand themselves because, we're still trying to figure this out, branding ourselves on social media and learning how to brand. So come on and teach us about that because, we
We'd
all want to
love
win.
to.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
So,
Thank
guys,
you all.
thank you for joining us. We're gonna wrap this up. Alicia, stay on. I'm just gonna stop the broadcast. But guys, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to
Thank you,
follow,
everyone.
share. We're also on YouTube. Same thing, Bougie Girl Cyber Happy Hour. Follow us on our Instagram, Bougie Girl
And go
Cyber
get a
Happy
t-shirt.
Hour. Yes, that's our Instagram, our Facebook,
Yes.
our YouTube. Just follow us all
Yay.
over the place.
Follow us. And go get a t-shirt.
And go
Join
get a
them.
t-shirt. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we love you. We'll see you
Love
on
you.
Friday.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.